We are a collaborative, culturally rich educational community where a rigorous and innovative curriculum prepares our students to be successful contributors of our global society. 5.1 public comment from the floor, non-agenda items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item regarding board business that is not on the agenda. Without taking action or entering into a dialogue with the public, board members may briefly respond to statements made or ask clarifying questions about topics posed by the public. Your matter may be referred to administration. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. No public comments. Recognition. 6.1, student representative.
Good evening, everyone. I always say this whenever there's a large crowd because we never have a large crowd. I know that you are not here for me or for us, but we appreciate that you are here because we have some recognitions tonight. So first, I'm going to start with Yatsiri Rivas Sanchez. You want to stand? Recognizing Yatsiri for doing an outstanding job in her role as the 2023-24 Student Representative to the Board of Trustees. So this particular position comes out of our high school ASB, and she does a report from what's going on for both the junior and senior high school. She meets with us once a month. She spends her Monday evenings here when she could be someplace else. And we are very excited for what is on her next chapter. Congratulations for being accepted and choosing to go to Sacramento State. You will be missed, but we are very proud of you and know that you will have a fantastic future ahead of you.
I don't really know what to say, but thank you for this opportunity, for letting me be the representative for the school. I think it has been a great opportunity for me, and I got to meet a lot of people I never thought I'd be speaking to, and yeah, thank you.
So our next certificate of recognition is awarded to the Lemelson MIT Invent team. If you are a member of that team, can you please come forward? Parents, you can take photos. So first we want to recognize your teacher, Heather Brooks, for advocating for this class, for advocating for you, for advocating to want to provide this, I want to say once in a lifetime opportunity, but you are setting the stage so that you are the first timers, but that there will be many more to come after you. And there will be many more to come after you because of the students in this class who have devoted countless energy and time, giving up weekends, giving up evenings, and providing just this breath of excitement. We talk about whether or not the things that you learn in school, if they're relevant to you, if they're relevant to your future, and this class couldn't get any more relevant. And I told this all to you many, many times that I literally get overwhelmed with emotion about how excited I am for you, what you have done, that you are changing this field, both for wildfire firefighters as well as for ag workers, and your group will be changing the world. So we are very proud of you. And we are so excited to send you off on Thursday for your first time to Boston. I do also want to say that besides you, and I know when I was your age, I would have been irritated had somebody said this, but I recognize now as an adult that it means something more. I do want to thank your parents for supporting you in this journey and providing you with whatever you needed, because it took time and hours out of their lives as well. And I am sure they are just as proud, if not more proud of you than you are. So you should thank your parents as well.
Like, I'm just looking up how to ship batteries right now and trying to come up with a plan. So we just finished packing up the devices today after school, so we're just really, really tired. We worked all weekend, the prior weekend, the weekend before that. So we're super excited to fly across the country, and we're also really, really excited to just share the emotion with everyone. And I've also been working with patent lawyers, and they're hoping to get everything out by tomorrow, so we've been going back and forth with them. And then, yeah, we met with the firefighters yesterday. They came here, and they just were floored. They said they were shocked. They couldn't believe that we were able to do that. And it was just really, really good. They spent probably like a couple hours, and they didn't want to leave. And we were like, we got to finish these devices. So, but they've been working all really, really hard. And everybody else would have probably been able to come, but it was just like they're still trying to get their hours at work in before flying because they're going to be gone for a week. So that's where the rest of them are. But thank you very much for everything and all of your support as well. We couldn't have done that with Audra behind us, helping us every step of the way. So that was a very big feat to raise all that money. So we're very grateful.
It's a matter of larger team.
But everybody too, yes. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm a little tired. Thank you very much.
Any students want to say anything? You don't have to, but the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Elias Escobar, and I want to start by thanking Ms. Brooks. After we finished packing our devices, I walked up to Ms. Brooks and gave her a big hug because, like she said, none of this would have been possible with any of us, but I think Ms. Brooks has been the biggest supporter for all of us. She spent, like she said, like weekends working this device, spending countless hours just researching how to do different things, and I think Ms. Brooks is like the backbone of Lemonson MIT. So I would like to begin by thanking Ms. Brooks and everybody else, like the ones in front of you that like also made this possible. We got many different people that focus on many different things that make our device, because without it, it's a daisy chain that allows every single part to work. But if one of them breaks, none of it works. So thank you.
So we'll take a brief pause because I know that some of you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. We would love that.
I want an individual photo.
Thank you.
You losing some weight?
Yeah.
Looking good. Yeah. Right on. Catch myself.
7.1 Public Hearing. As an elected governing body of the Calistoga Joint Unified School District, the Board of Trustees conducts public hearings for the purpose of maintaining open communication with parents, students, and residents of the Calistoga community and school district. Through the public hearing process, trustees seek ideas and viewpoints regarding the efficiency and quality of district-sponsored programs or any other area of the operation of the district and its schools. The trustees believe that open communication is a key element in the ongoing process of district, school, and program involvement. 7.2, Local Control Accountability Plan.
Thank you. So the first item for our public hearing tonight is our annual LCAP. So we have to do a public hearing where we get public input. What was attached to the agenda was the full LCAP. I think it's like 92 pages. I will not be going through 92 pages. But I do want to share what it is that we have done differently and how we're moving ahead. So this is our new 3-year LCAP. So we just finished the 21 to 24, and now we are moving forward with 24 through 27. And so there's been some modifications to what the template looks like, how we report our annual update, and how we design what our metrics are as we move forward to see if what we're trying actually works. So we sent out the LCAP survey. We surveyed students, we surveyed staff, we surveyed families. One of the questions, or 3 of the questions were, do you want us to keep our goals, or do we want to modify them, or do we want new goals? All 3 goals, close to between 55 and 60% wanted us to keep our goals the same that they were. So we still maintain goals 1, 2, and 3, which the phrasing is exactly the same: ensure academic excellence for all students, provide a safe, healthy, and positive school environment, increase parent engagement, and enhance communication. We do have a new goal this year, and this is because of what the state is calling the equity multiplier goal. One of our schools qualified for an additional $50,000, and that happens to be Palisades. And if you qualify for the equity multiplier money, you have to have a specific goal within your LCAP that addresses how you're going to use those funds. So that is on a year-by-year basis. So we were notified that we received $50,000 for this year, and we qualified for $50,000 for next year. So we have allocated in our plan the full $100,000. But moving forward, we don't know if we're still going to qualify after last year. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. And when we find out that information, we would still keep the goal throughout the 3 years, but we would talk about how that money might change and how we would still do things to support that goal with or without it. So for goal number 1, these are the metrics and targets for our 3-year outcomes. So we have a column that addresses college and career readiness. So the metrics, and many of these we are required to keep in here. So there's like 21 different metrics that we will look at throughout the 3 years, and many of them are required by the state. So we have to report on our high school graduation rate, we have to report on our college and career preparedness, our A through G completion rate, our CTE pathway completion rate, our AP exam pass rate, our early assessment program on whether or not students are qualified conditionally or when they go to college, our local and state assessment data we need to report. So what's required is us reporting on our CAST, the state assessment on math, ELA, and science, or CAST. We have added to that our MAP growth and MAP proficiency, because we don't want to just wait for the end of year data. We want to see how our students are doing throughout the year, and we want to be able to see that they're showing growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Then under English learners, we need to report on our English learner progress and our English learner reclassification. And then what's classified as other is what's required by the state under the Williams Act in terms of number of highly qualified teachers, and then whether or not we are providing standards-based curriculum to 100% of our students. These are new actions and services. As we said, we're maintaining goals 1, 2, and 3, and many of those actions and services are going to stay. Then we're going to maintain those, but we've added some new ones. So specifically for goal 1, we've added that over the next 3 years, we will adopt new curriculum materials in both English language arts and math. We said that supplemental instruction in reading will be provided by special education teachers through our Lead to Literacy grant for students with IEPs, specifically at the junior-senior high school. We are adding that DIBELS will be administered 2 times per year to all K-6 students at the elementary school to assess and monitor pre-literacy skills, utilizing an online platform for the administration and data visualization. We said that each school will send a team with an administrator and at least 3 teachers to the Professional Learning Network to support the school implementation of professional learning communities. All resource specialist teachers and paraprofessionals who implement structured literacy programs at the high school will be trained in structured literacy and a structured literacy curriculum. And then all TK through 3 teachers at the elementary school will be trained in structured literacy instructional strategies. And again, this is a 3-year LCAP, so this is not, we're not going to get all of these done in the first year. We will be going through phases. So for example, that last bullet 6.8, we had 4 staff members trained in structured literacy this past year. And so each year we're going to expand it to add more. Hopefully by the end of the 3 years, we would then be able to provide support to all of our teachers and aides who support those classes. Any questions on goal 1?
Just a quick question. The attachment on the agenda doesn't match the presentation here. Could we get that?
I can upload the presentation tonight, yes.
Yeah.
The attachment on there is just the full outcome,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, we will have this. For goal number 2, again, it's maintaining the same. The metrics and targets for the 3 years are related to social emotional. So we are now giving the California Healthy Kids Survey on an annual basis to specific grades. And we're giving our Data Zone Social Emotional Learning Skills Survey to the remaining grades. For engagement, we're looking at attendance rates, chronic absenteeism, suspension rates, expulsion rates, middle school dropout rates, and high school dropout rates. And then for facilities, we look at our facilities inspection tool, which we report on an annual basis. So those are all staying the same. New actions and services that came for goal number 2 was we currently have a health tech at those schools that came from our community schools grant, and we're looking to redevelop what that position actually looks like and have it be a combination of health tech and wellness coordinator, because originally it was geared towards COVID, and we're beyond that. I want to say we're beyond that. And so the focus should be on physical and mental health. And then we added that we provide crossing guards at elementary school, and that's for a safety feature for our elementary school students. And then goal number 3 is regarding parent engagement and communication. And so again, we're analyzing our parent engagement opportunities. We're providing Napa Valley Adult Ed through the Up Valley Family Center. We're looking at our PK enrollment, and then students with, that is all of a sudden not bad, with disabilities, our IEP participation, making sure that we're trying to get to 100% of our families that are able to actually come and participate in the meeting. And it's stuck. Oops. So, ooh, that's not good. I'm sorry. So now I'm going to yell. So for goal number 3, what we're adding this year is utilizing Aries Parent Portal for parent data confirmation. So for parents that are parents in the district, you know that last year we started having you do your confirmation of your students' information online. And so our goal is to get 100% of our families to do that. So that's an added action. Families will be provided with their past scores for their students via the video student score reports. That's new this year, so we're pretty excited about that. And then we already do this, but we actually just wanted to name it. We want to officially connect our families with Parents Can to support their students with IEPs. That's actually something unique. Parents Can is an advocacy group for families who have students with IEPs, and we have a great relationship with them already. And we always connect our families with them to know that they have somebody to help them if they don't feel that they themselves have a voice. And so this will allow them to be supported in that area as well. Any questions on goal 3? And then goal 4 is new. So this is the one specifically for Palisades. So it's pretty much centered on school climate. So we're looking at their SEL skills survey, which we give to all students. They use a program called Wayfinder, and so they're implementing Wayfinder waypoints. And so that is a measure that we will use. Our LEAP survey that we gave this last year because of Transcend, we're going to continue to give that as we continue to work with them. And so there'll be a specific goal hoping to see growth, specifically on the LEAP survey in the group of Palisades students. And then their attendance rate as well. We want to make sure that they come to school too. And I'm just going to be patient. And so all the actions and services are new for this one because we've not had this goal before. So we're going to provide access to a ropes course. We're going to provide access to a yoga course, provide and implement the Masks Off curriculum. We're going to provide foreign language through Full Mind Learning. We're going to provide other academic courses that students have expressed interest in exploring. We're going to provide a CTE teacher 1 time per month for hands-on skills, provide a STEAM teacher 1 time per month, provide guest speakers, provide and implement career launch curriculum, and then provide guest speakers to support exposure to post-secondary options so that our students know that they too have multiple options and how can they figure out what they're passionate about and what they want to do after high school. Any questions on goal 4?
I'm curious, that's a great list, but I imagine some of those things are already happening.
Some are happening, except this money means that either we are going to deepen it. So for example, Palisade students go to Nimbus. We didn't include that on here because this is new money and it can't be money that is spent on something that we're already doing. So these actually, we're not spending money on any of these things. These are all new activities. Yes, we have guest speakers. We're very fortunate that Sir Optimus come in and speak, but this will now give us an opportunity to possibly provide a stipend or to bring in more. So that it's not just relying on pure volunteerism, and we want to say thank you to those volunteerisms in a special way.
And since I know it's only Ms. Davis at Palisades, is she going to be given any additional support to help achieve all of these?
Yes, and she was actually the one that helped us come up with these ideas. These were not, yes. She did want something else on there that was not quite ready to put on there, but it's still in my mind. And so, yes, so we actually worked with Melissa, worked with Principal Valdenegro to determine what the goal was going to be, and then what we thought were actual activities that we could make happen. We didn't want to put things on there that we're not going to be able to provide and have access to. And so she spent a lot of time and thought and research to figure out how we can use these particular resources to meet the needs of our students.
We do have a question in regards to capacity. Traditionally, the district has collaborated with Parents Can. For many, many years, they used to have a bigger presence in the community at the schools, like, working with parents and having a staff member stationed, 1 day a week or 2 days a week at the district, somewhere at the elementary school or the high school. So I think that, word of caution is that we have to make sure that they have the capacity to send someone or to be providing the services up here. Because of funding, right? The issue with nonprofits is usually the lack of funding. So it would be good to have a conversation with Marlena, the executive director, to make sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we will do that. Thank you. That's all that I have.
It's still half-hearted compared to the other ones.
All right.
Oh, no, you don't have to know.
Okay, so I'm just opening the public hearing. Okay, so now I'm going to open the public hearing on our LCAP plan at 6:29. Do I have any comments from the staff or the board?
Great plan, I think we should go with that plan.
Agree. Do I have any comments from the public? Okay. We're going to close the public hearing at 6:30. All right, 7.3, the district budget. Ready to read this? Sutherland. California Education Code Section 1620 provides that prior to the adoption of the district budget, the Calistoga Joint Unified School District Board of Trustees shall hold a public hearing. At the hearing, any taxpayer may appear and speak on the proposed budget or any item therein. Law also requires that the public hearing for the district budget be held during the same meeting as the public hearing for the local control and accountability plan. The board is asked to conduct a public hearing and then review the draft 2024-25 CJUSD original budget which will be brought back for adoption during the meeting of the Board of Trustees on June 17th, 2024. The draft of the 2024-25 CJUSD original budget signifies a positive certification of its financial condition based on the governor's proposed state budget for 24-25. The positive certification indicates that based upon current projections, the district will meet its financial obligations for the current fiscal year and subsequent 2 fiscal years. Copies of the draft budget are available at the district office. Okay, Maureen, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm shocked that we're here for another original budget for the next school year and fiscal year. Time is flying by. So this is our 24-25 original budget public hearing. And I'm doing 2 things at once here, so I might get a little confused. Bear with me. There we go. And always, I add these budget objectives to each reporting period that we go through. And our first budget objective is to make sure we provide a full, robust educational program for all of our students. Our second objective is to follow the goals and actions of our district LCAP. That's something that I put in the budget adoption because we're matching what Dr. Pittman just talked about in the LCAP actions and services. Our budget includes all of those expenditures for all the actions and services she talked about. 3, we want to ensure that the district always has adequate cash flow for our operations. And 4, we always want to recognize our teachers and our staff for their hard work. Does this need a new battery or something? There we go. Okay. This is our general fund revenue for 24-25. And from 23-24, we see an overall decrease of over $424,000. Property taxes make up 85% of our total income. This is what substantiates our general fund for paying all of our general fund operations. And then our other sources of income, federal, state, and local, tend to be more restricted and have a direct purpose, and then also sometimes are more volatile. Sorry guys, this is just not, it's behaving very strangely. Audra, were you having problems with this too?
Only going forward.
Yeah.
It was a little slow. I'm gonna try.
Oh. Try again. Okay. Property tax revenue. Our property tax revenue increases by over $780,000. That is a projected 4% increase. Of course, we don't know what that's going to actually come in until the year is said and done. So this is what we are projecting at this moment in time based on the facts that we know. Our state aid has been reduced by about $6,200, and our special education property taxes have increased by over $13,000. Our state aid reduction is due to our declining enrollment, and then the special education reduction. Napa County operates their SELPA program from property taxes, just like we operate our general fund from property taxes, and so we're seeing a little bit of a bump in our SELPA funding for next year in relation to that. Yay, it worked. All right, federal revenue. Federal revenues decreased by $187,000. Our federal special education is going to increase a little bit by about $6,300. That's actually federal special education preschool dollars. All of our title programs, our federal title programs, are remaining the same right now. I didn't have any updates when I was putting the budget together, so they're remaining at the same allocations. They may go up or down next year depending on funding levels and our enrollment or ADA. And then ESSER funds. Remember, we received a little over $3 million in ESSER funds. I think we received $9 million overall in COVID relief funds, but ESSER funds we received a little over $3 million, and we've had about 3 to 4 years to spend all that money, and we're going to see the end of all of that spending as of the end of 23-24. So those funds are now gone moving forward. Our other state revenue is going to decrease by a little over $391,000. All of this, well, not all of this, but most of this is due to one-time funds, $428,000. I don't know if you recall, but we did as a district receive in 23-24 a one-time wildfire backfill, and that was a little over $408,000. And then mandated cost decreases because ADA decreases, lottery declines because our enrollment in ADA are declining, and then ELOP increases because our actual percentage of unduplicated count students went up. So we're going to see a little bit of an increase in our extended learning opportunity program. And one thing I just want to point out about this slide is that seeing the decreases, they're all related to enrollment, and they're all related to ADA. So even though we are a basic aid district, there are a lot of other funding sources that are tied to enrollment in ADA, and when our enrollment declines, our revenue declines. Local revenue is going to decrease by $632,000, and then some. That's because E-rate is going to be decreased. We did a one-time project this year where we got some E-rate funds in our category 2 for E-rates, so that's going to not be there next year. We did complete the project, so that's good. Retiree benefits are going to increase a little bit because we have a couple of retirees that are going to be paying to the pot to pay their benefits, and so that's going to go up a little bit next year. And then the interest earnings are going to decrease by about $10,000 probably just because we're going to have less cash flow as we move forward and are spending down those one-time funds. And then local grants, scholarships, and one-time income decreases by over $573,000. And this is always the case with local income. We have a lot of one-time grants that we get on a year-to-year basis. Scholarships, we don't always assume we're going to get a scholarship from the same donor for the next year, so I never put those into the budget. So this is always a very up and down revenue when adopting the budget. Oops. All right, our general fund expenditures. General fund expenditures. Even though our revenue is going down by over $424,000, our expenses are increasing by over $600,000. This is what creates our deficit moving into 24-25. As you can see, a majority of our expenses come from salary and benefits, 80% in fact, and this only leaves 20% for everything else. So transportation, support to instruction, things like that that are not salary related, the district has about 20% of our funds to spend. Diving deeper into our expenses, certificated and classified salaries. For 24-25, the salary schedule increases for certificated by 3%. They also saw an increase of about 0.87 in health and welfare benefits and other compensation. Step and column costs are included in the budget. Our known staffing changes are included in the budget, and then any kind of position movements that are happening, if we know them at the time, they're included. And then any one-time expenses for certificated salaries have been removed. Classified salaries, same thing, step and column costs are included. Classified took all of their compensation to their salary schedule. We'll be bringing that to you in a couple weeks as a disclosure. But what this means is that they're going to see a 3.87% increase on their salary schedules for 24-25. Again, all known staffing changes are included in these expenses, and then one-time expenses have also been removed. On the benefit side of things, the district contributes to each employee's health and welfare package if they qualify. And so CAT, the certificated unit, is going to go from $18,096 this year in contributions to $21,600 next year in contributions. And then CSEA is going to remain the same at $15,300 per employee, and the management and confidential are at $10,200 per employee. Depending on the cost of, what I want to make clear on this slide is depending on the cost of plans, because these are higher district contributions and higher caps, as we move forward through the next couple of years, any increases that happen in some people's plans would be the responsibility of the district. Because a lot of people don't have plans that cost up to this amount in their cap. And so as we move forward, we're now having to calculate, okay, how much is it going to cost for all those people that are under the 21,600, if we increase by 10% in our healthcare costs, that cost all does bear on the district because our caps are at what they're at. Benefits for payroll and retirement contributions. STRS remains at 19.1%. That takes an act of legislature to increase that or decrease that, so it remains the same. PERS is going to increase from 26.68% to 27.05%. Medicare remains at 1.45%, Social Security is 6.2%, state unemployment at 0.05%. And then we got a little workers' comp decrease. We're going from 1.38 down to 1.14%. So now, for every $100 paid in salary to a certificated member, another $21.75 is paid in these benefits. And for classified, for every $100, $35.90 is paid for these benefits if they are a member of STRS and/or PERS. On our expenditure, supplies, services, and other operating costs, our supplies and materials decreased by over $123,000. Some of these costs will be rebudgeted. What I do when I go through the budget, when I'm going through adoption, is I'll look at expenditures and say, I know we're not going to be able to pay for this year. We'll move that to next year as a purchase. So some of it will get pre-budgeted, and then all the things that were one-time purchases in 23-24 have been removed out of the budget for 24-25. Looking at services and operating expenditures, we decreased by a little over $55,000. We have less NPS services required from 23-24. We did have a utilities increase. I budgeted about 20% increase for utilities, electrical, I was going to say plumbing, but sewage, all those kinds of things. One-time purchases from 23-24 have also been removed. Capital outlay reduced by over $90,000. We do have some kitchen infrastructure funds that we still are needing to spend next year, so there is still some capital outlay for that. Maintenance equipment replacement, we have all of that for 23-24. If they did equipment replacement, then we remove that out of the budget, and then we replace it with whatever is planned for 24-25. And then also one-time purchases all around have been removed as well. Transfers out. So we do contribute to both our food services cafeteria fund and our capital outlay fund. We're going to do the same amount of transfer that we're doing this year. We're going to continue that for next year. So $250,000 to cafeteria and then another $100,000 to our facilities. All of that does come from essentially our property tax income. Program support. So we do have some increases in contributions to program supports for next year. So, if I can get there on my screen. Special education is going up actually special education is going down a little bit. And that's due to some preschool costs we didn't have this year. We'll move that forward to next year and hope that preschool enrollment kind of stays the same, which means our expenditures will kind of stay the same. Title I, we actually are going to decrease Title I next year because we were able to take some of the expenditures in our Title I and move those over to some other restricted funding. Title II, this is just salary increases in Title II because that's what we pay for out of Title II as a para over at the high school. Technology, we are increasing just a bit just because costs have increased. Same with routine restricted maintenance. Our law calls for 3% of our operating funds to be spent on maintenance, and we are spending above and beyond that. We're probably closer to 4%. Outdoor education, we're going from 77.5 down to 75.9. And then AVID, we are contributing more to our AVID program this year because we hadn't in years past. We hadn't needed to contribute. So we're kind of making up the difference this year, and then next year we'll go back to the $15,000. And what we're doing is matching the grant that we received from Napa County Education Foundation.
Maureen, quick question.
Yes.
The numbers on our attachment don't match the numbers in your presentation.
So they should, maybe?
I think there's just a typo error, but we can change that.
So this is the correct information, because I did go through and change a couple things this afternoon, but what I'm showing you now is the correct information. So we'll repost that, what's on the website. Okay. Okay. So this is a little LCAP connection. Of course, all of the actions and services in our LCAP are in our budget for 24-25. This is in connection to our increase and improved services. So we have a certain dollar amount that the state tells us we have to meet on a yearly basis within our LCAP actions and services to service our unduplicated student counts. So all of our free and reduced lunch kids, our EL kids, our foster kids, homeless kids. So we have to make sure that we're providing, in 23-24, it was a little over $3 million, $3,098,377. Our district actually spent over $5 million. So we are well exceeding what the state's expectations are for us to be spending on those students. In 24, that should say 25, we are obligated to spend $3.1 million. And within our LCAP and doing all the expenditures in the LCAP for 24-25, we're going to be well over $6 million. So all I'm wanting to show here is that we are spending well above and beyond what the state's obligating us to spend, and we are offering obviously much more in services and programs than what the state has expected of us. Okay. Talk about multi-year projections here for a moment. We make some assumptions when we do multi-year projections. We're assuming a 4% property tax increase in 24-25 and the next 2 years. Again, all the one-time purchases have been removed from the out years. All the known staffing changes are included in our multi-year projections. Step and column is included in multi-year projections. Estimated health insurance costs that increase our district contribution is included. I've tried to calculate based on what we think health insurance is going to go up in the next years. K-12 textbook adoptions, we have one in for 24-25. We have an increase in utilities of over 15%. I think I said 20% earlier, but it is 15%. I did double check that yesterday. Moving restricted salaries and expenses to unrestricted over the next 2 years. So as we run out of those restricted funds and we spend down those restricted funds, those salaries, if we keep them, are going to move back to unrestricted. So that's going to be a cost to us over the next few years. And then all compensation settlements have been budgeted for in the 24-25 and our out years. So this is a look at our beginning balances of each year. We have this current year, and then the budgeted option year, and then our multi-years. And for this year, my notes. At second interim, we had projected a deficit, and I have been able to move some expenditures to some restricted places and out of Fund 01 to be able to kind of catch up and balance the budget a little better. So we had a huge front row project that we're doing for technology. I had that all budgeted in our general fund. When we did our other district-wide technology project and capital outlay funds, we saved some money there, so I was able to move a lot of expenditure there, so that's going to really help us in this year. And then in 24-25, we are looking at over a $900,000 deficit. So I talked a little bit about that. We're decreasing our income for 24-25 and we're increasing our expenditures. So that's what brings that deficit about. And just a reminder, if the deficit comes from if we spend every dollar that is budgeted and if we receive every dollar of income that is budgeted, that's what would create that deficit. So obviously that deficit changes all the time. So every time we do budget updates, that deficit changes. Every time we get more income, lose income, whatever changes, that dollar amount changes. So just be aware of that. It's not set in stone when it's just up there on the screen. 25-26, we do continue to deficit spend, $457,000. We bring back a lot of restricted salaries in this budget year, which is why we are deficit spending in that year. So who knows, maybe our taxes will increase more than 4%. We'll be able to make some of that up. And then in 26-27, we're back to kind of a balanced budget. Part of our AB 1200 requirement, which is a law all about school district budgets, says that we have to talk about what is in our ending fund balances. So we're going to talk about that for a couple of minutes. So for this year, you can see the ending fund balances. We have restricted balances, we have general fund balances reserved for assignments, we have our economic uncertainty balance, which by board policy is 10%, and then we have unassigned and unappropriated amounts. So looking at budget adoption, those numbers change a little bit because our plans change, things change, we get prepared for other things. So there's all kinds of different caveats that change that. The 10% obviously changes on a year-to-year basis depending on your expenditures, so that 10% is based on whatever all of your general fund expenditures are. And then going deeper into our reserve for assignments, that's what I want to talk about next. This is kind of a breakdown of the 3.4 million we're looking at for 24-25. We have to put away $16,000 for our revolving cash and clearing accounts. We set aside $300,000 a year for our STRS and PERS. Now, just a reminder, this is not in our budget, this is part of our ending fund balance in our budget. So we take our ending fund balance and we kind of break down some of the dollars that are in that ending fund balance. We set aside about $150,000 for emergency maintenance projects, $459,000 for technology improvement. We have about $769,000 in one-time funds that have occurred through MAW, which is our medical, essentially our medical billing program, wildfires, one-time back payments that we received from the state, and then mandated costs that we got, I think in 18-19, that we still have a little bit of money left. We do have $659,000, almost $660,000 put in the ending fund balance for staff retention and staff hires in the next couple of years. And then we have $25,000 for special ed preschool, just in case we get a child that has severe needs in our preschool program. We set aside another $100,000 for a special, future possible special ed cost student coming into the district. We have $100,000 set aside for SB 218. I don't know if you remember talking about SB 218, but that is the law that's out there for child molestations and sexual assaults and things like that that are in school districts. We have to pay SELF, which is kind of the JPA that's holding all the funds for those lawsuits. They're coming back and taking money from the districts that were part of their program through the years that SB 18 is applicable for. And so we've paid them, I want to say over $60,000 at this point. I have another invoice sitting for another $20,000. So I'm putting some money aside in the ending fund balance to kind of project having to pay them more money. We have about $850,000 for modernizing furniture in the classrooms. That's something that we want to plan to do in the next couple of years, is replace our classroom furniture. We have $85,000 for boardroom improvements, one of being getting a brand new screen. I can't wait for that to happen. And then $2.5 million for economic reserves. That's that 10%. And then a little over 3.4 that is unassigned. I do want to talk about committed funds for a second, because on the board agenda tonight is a resolution to commit some funds. And that is Board Resolution 2324-11. I'm asking the board, or recommending to the board, that we commit $200,000 towards professional development. There is a resource created 9552 in the 24-25 budget that would allow us to spend these funds in professional development. And I'll talk a lot more about what it's all about when we get to that in the agenda. But essentially, the state gave the district over $260,000 in 21-22 to spend on professional development of our certificated staff members and our paraprofessionals. And we're coming down to the end of 23-24, and we have about $50,000 left in that fund. So moving forward, which means we're professionally developing our staff, right? We're investing in our staff, and they're going out and going to conferences. We're having contracts come in, and on professional development days, they're coming in and working with our staff. But moving forward, if we want to continue that practice, we do need to commit those funds so that we spend that amount of money only on professional development. So again, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that is in the budget for 24-25 at the amount of $200,000. And then talking about reserve necessity. So it's very important for a district of our size, and because we're a basic aid district, to have a higher reserve than what other norms might be for other school districts. So one-time federal and state funds are being spent down. We want to make sure that we have ample reserves to get through the next 2 years because of spending down those funds. We need increased reserves to help with cash flow. We only get property taxes in December and April, so all those other months when we're paying bills and we're making payroll, we want to make sure we have adequate cash flow to be able to do that. And then increased reserves keeps cuts away from staffing and programs when the economy is volatile. So if something happens to where we project 4% on our property tax increases and we only get 1, we have a reserve to back us up. And the reason we want that to happen is because we don't get to rely on prior year funding like ADA districts do. Community funded districts, if we don't get that money in that year, we don't get that money at all. So we always want to make sure we have adequate reserves to cover those types of things. And then we always want to talk about what other fund balances are in 24-25. We now have to report on a student activity fund. Student activity fund is actually all of our ASB accounts rolled into one at the district level. So at the high school, we have a regular ASB account, we have an athletics account, and then at the elementary, we also have a student council account. And so those accounts together equate a little over $69,000. We have an adult ed fund that will end with a little over $1,000 in it. We have a child nutrition services fund, that ending balance is looking at $272. Bond fund's going to have almost $1 million left at the end of 24-25, and that also includes selling more bonds in 24-25. So that is coming up. It will be coming to a board meeting fairly soon. But in order to finish our STEM building and do our modernization over at the elementary school, it is going to be time to sell more bonds so we can keep that cash flow going. Developer fees, Fund 25, a little over $548,000. State Facilities Fund 35, a little over $285,000. Most of that, actually all of that money is the money we got for the kindergarten development and TK development. And then capital outlay, a little over $281,000. Okay, next steps. Next steps. State budget goes to the governor from the legislature before June 15th. Old story, but they don't get paid if they don't submit it before that, so it's always been submitted on June 15th. That doesn't mean that all of the discrepancies are ironed out before then. As you know, the state is going through some major deficit spending themselves, and so they're working on all of that right now to come up with a plan. And so as soon as they do have a plan, they will adopt a budget, but not before we probably adopt our budget on June 17th. So this budget will come back to you on June 17th. And then as soon as the state adopts their budget, we have 45 days to update our boards as a school district with any significant changes that the state made in their budget adoption. And that is all I have for you tonight. Are there any questions from the board? I saw all of you yawning. All right.
She does a really good job.
Yes, thank you for that very thorough report.
Yeah, very thorough and long worded.
I would like to open the public hearing at 6:59. Are there any comments from the staff or board? Are there any comments from the public? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7 o'clock. Thank you for that lively discussion. 8.1 CSBA Annual Education Conference. The Board of Trustees will discuss participation in the Annual Education Conference being held on December 5th to 7th, 2024 in Anaheim, California.
So this is the annual conference, so we just want to confirm if all 5 want to continue to attend for the conference.
Okay.
I heard yes.
I think it's a very valuable conference. I appreciate the opportunity.
Same.
Excellent. So Cynthia will be reaching out this week to talk about registration for the conference. If you are interested in attending a pre-conference day, please let her know so we can get that registered as soon as possible because we know those fill up fast. And then we'll make arrangements for the 6 of us to travel.
Thank you. 8.2, Board Policies and Administrative Regulations, first reading.
Okay, good evening. So we've got a board policy for you on first read on artificial intelligence. Obviously an important topic, a topic that we need board policy to provide us with guide rails for our work. This is a big year for AI, for generative AI, and I think the impact is certainly not going to lessen. The impact's going to increase in schools and the world around us. There's really no suitable CSBA policy yet. But I don't think this is something we can wait on, especially as we look at next school year. We've got to have at least some basic ground rules for ourselves, our staff, our students. And so we have a policy for you here that was developed by, really came to us by the CITE organization, CITE, that's the California IT and Education Organization, of which we are members. It was drafted by the F3 law firm. It was reviewed by our EdTech committee. And just broad overview, it defines AI, it provides for the use of AI in our educational space. It provides some guidelines, some to call out, that the tools must be evaluated prior to implementation, that we should have parent consent for student use when required, that there should be communication with students by instructors around what's allowed and what's not allowed, and how we should and shouldn't use AI in the classroom. It calls out prohibited use. It also calls out some issues related to safety, specifically confidentiality issues around staff and student data, and harmful material. And I think it's a good policy. It's probably not the final policy that we will ever need, but again, it gives us a good starting point. What I would recommend we do, typically when we look at new board policies like this, we do a first read and come back at the next meeting and do an approval. I think given that we have kind of these back-to-back June meetings, it might make the most sense to hold off on bringing this back until August. That gives the board time for consideration. We can share this with our staff and make sure we have time for them to give us input. If there's something that we're not seeing, that we can make an adjustment before we get it back to you. Those would be some good next steps. I'm also open to taking questions now if you have any.
I just wanted to say thank you for putting this together. I think that's a really important topic, and AI is going to be affecting all of us moving forward. And I agree with your recommendation that I think it's worthwhile for the board to really consider this policy and wait until August to discuss it or bring it back. So thank you.
I agree. I just think AI is going to continue to surprise us, and so it should be something that I think we should feel like we revisit.
Do we already see it as a large use at the junior senior high school specifically?
I think there's, folks have started to dip their toes in the water. I think we'll do district-wide PD in August to try to create a baseline. But I think that what's happened so far, even those folks that are starting to dip their toes in the water, we haven't provided this type of guidance in terms of our policy, especially saying that what we need to provide is a process for approval. And I don't think there's any ill intent, but we need to make sure that folks are using tools that have been vetted, especially around privacy issues. We're talking to staff, and I think staff are ultimately going to be some of our best resource for finding the tools that are going to work for us. There are English tools that are using it in their space, right? There are math teachers. And they're going to know the best tools to use, but we need to give them a framework and a process so that we know do it safely and effectively and share best practices, because they're going to be the best resources for other teachers to go to and say, what are you using? How are you using it? So I think August will be an important time for us to talk with staff, do some professional development, and set some framework.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. 9.1, student representative.
Good afternoon. The school year is now coming to an end and people are getting excited. And in the start of May, all the AP exams took place for AP English, Spanish, Math, and History, as well as the MIT class came out on the CBS News, and they are finally ready for the trip on Boston this Thursday. And lastly, the ASB hosted prom, which resulted in a successful night. We also hosted the scholarship night where students earned approximately $204,000 in scholarships and were also recognized with awards and their honor roll cords. The seniors also had their average senior night that the junior ABET class hosted for them and their families. And starting June, the seniors are feeling more excited and feeling more excitement and nerves as their years here are coming to an end. We will start the month by getting our caps and gowns June 3rd, so today, and having senior signing day on June 4th during Capvisory. And lastly, teachers are preparing for finals week, which will be starting June 10th and will lead to the end of the school year. And this now concludes my report. And I already said thank you, but I want to say thank you again for this opportunity. I truly appreciate everyone here, and I think just staying at the meetings every day, I learned how much work everyone here puts in to make things possible for the school, and I really admire them, so thank you.
Thank you for coming to our meetings and giving us insight into what's happening in the school. We really appreciate your input. All right, we're moving on to number 2, Calistoga Elementary School Principal.
Well, hi everyone, it's good to be back. And so with respect to LCAP goal number 1, ensuring academic excellence for all students, we have completed our CASP testing. We actually completed it a couple of weeks ago, which was very exciting. I think that's the earliest we've gotten it done, and I'm not biting my nails until the date where they shut it down. Huge commendation for Alex Sanderi and Martha McCoy for coordinating the makeup testing. And what's interesting this year is that the score report turnaround has been faster, which means that when it is complete, it's actually starting to upload onto Aries. And so parents are able to enter into Aries portal and be able to see their student score as it populates. We are also working through our first draft of the master schedule, and we are excited to continue and refine our learning accelerated block time. And one highlight that we were able to do as we worked through this on a release day is to be able to provide additional paraeducator support during that time so that we can reduce the size of those groups. With respect to LCAP goal number 2, provide a safe, healthy, and positive school environment. This year we did, our 5th and 6th grade actually did their outdoor education during the same week. It was, I don't think we have that happen too often where both grade levels are leaving campus. Next year they are going to be divided by a week apart, and they really did end up enjoying their field trip. They developed teamwork while also learning about environmental education. And so I would like to extend gratitude to our Board of Education for continued support of outdoor education for both 5th and 6th grade. As we near the end of the school year, we're preparing for our end-of-year activities. And actually tomorrow will be our final music concerts. Tomorrow will be our grade 4 through 6 instrumental music plus choir. And then on Thursday will be grades TK through 3 and also choir. Then next week we will have our, next week we'll be having our academic awards assemblies. And those are always great to see just how far our scholars have come this year. And then finally, we have 6th grade promotion on Wednesday, and so we are looking forward to our board members who are going to be there to help hand out certificates. LCAPGOAL number 3, increased parent engagement and enhanced communication. We had our 2nd student carnival this year, and although we held it at about the same time, there were more scheduling conflicts this year, and in particular with the Little League, and I know Little League has moved now to St. Helena, which created difficulty for families to get back after their games. So we're going to go ahead and re-look at that, although this year, in terms of our volunteers from both the high school and our parent community, it was much higher volunteers who came in comparison to last year. And then finally, we did complete our school plan for student achievement, and our site council has worked diligently to negotiate various data points to develop a plan which meets the needs of Calistoga Elementary, and actually this plan will be presented to the board this month, but I wrote this when we're still in May, but it will be presented to you, I believe at the next board meeting. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
No, thank you. Next up is the Calistoga Junior Senior High School principals.
Good evening. In regards to LCAP Goal 1, ensuring academic excellence for all students, we are also looking forward to celebrating our end of the year activities, including 8th grade promotion and our graduation night. Thursday the 13th will be the promotion at 7 p.m. in our big gym, and our graduation will be on Friday the 14th at 7 p.m. on our football field. Although this year is coming to a close, we are in the process. In fact, today we had a long master schedule planning day and planning the master schedule for next year, and we are looking to select our dates for orientation for the fall. Additionally, this summer we will host a summer school program on campus with enrichment for junior high students and credit recovery for high school students. In regards to LCAP Goal 2, provide a safe, healthy, and positive school environment. Just last week, CJSHS, with the support of Up Valley Partners, hosted a Know Before You Go presentation. This is an annual presentation that they put on for us for our seniors, which covers topics involving drugs, alcohol, and social media. And during the presentation, students are asked questions to determine the difference between a myth and a fact in relation to abuse of drugs and alcohol, and how social media can also negatively impact students' lives. Up Valley also supported us with Friday Night Live and Clara Claro groups. They hosted a wellness fair, I want to say 2 weeks ago. The activities were all set up out here in the quad. They were engaging, reflective, and promoted self-care. Additionally, this year we have started a Safe Spaces Club on Fridays that meets in Mrs. Musser's room, and this club promotes inclusivity for all students, and we hope to continue that club next year. In regards to LCAP Goal 3, increasing parent engagement and enhancing communication, as Etsy mentioned, during the month of May we did have our senior awards night with approximately $280,000 in scholarships issued. This year the event was held in this room instead of the big gym. Many shared they appreciated the more intimate setting and shared that they had a good time at the event. It was a successful event. Also, the Abbott Senior Night was held and a music concert, which all brought families, students, and staff together. Lastly, the district, both sides collaboratively worked to put on the reclassification celebration, which was in May. From our site, we had 28 students who were reclassified. Parents and students were invited to attend this celebration. We had cookies and water. Unfortunately, not many of our junior, senior high students attended. We had a bigger turnout for the elementary kids, which was great. So we're going to just continue to reflect and see how we can find other opportunities to celebrate the junior, senior high kids here, maybe even during the school day. Any questions?
Thank you. Director of Facilities Maintenance and Operations.
All right, so for the CES modernization, we're moving forward as planned, no hang-ups. Saturday, the contractor's going to have fencing set up, Monday the 17th. Contractor will be out there getting started. We'll also have the movers out there emptying the classrooms and loading them up into trailers for storage over the summer. As for riverbank restoration, we're still on track to start the week of the 17th, but we can't say for sure if we will. We're still negotiating with Fishing Game. They keep coming back with different requirements as part of the planning, as part of the permitting process. There's a really large oak that's part of the reason that we're doing the riverbank restoration. And I want to say that one oak is triggering us to have to plant 21 trees in this place. And we don't really have that much room in the repair area to plant all these trees, so we're trying to figure out how to do that. There's also some monitoring of trees for bats and birds that needs to take place before we can take those trees out. Usually that's the 30-day window that they require. They've shortened it to 14, which helps us out a lot. So we should have a little more information by the end of the week on whether or not they've approved our recommendations as opposed to what their rules state. So we're still on track for starting that week though. And then for the STEM building, people will probably wondering why we haven't started on it. DSA has really held us up quite a bit from the start of this project, from the first time they got it to the second time they've gotten it. So we've made calls to them, we haven't heard back. I don't have an update just yet on when we'll be starting that, but I know Landmark's ready to roll as soon as we get the plans back. They're bringing out their construction office trailers, placing them out on the basketball court, so they'll be ready to roll when that takes place. That's all I got. Any questions?
Thank you. Director of Educational Services and Human Resources.
Okay, the majority of our work in the HR and services right now is focused on preparing for next school year, planning for professional development, curriculum updates, hiring, staffing changes, onboarding, preparing for compliance with new laws for 24-25. I can also share we completed our technology plan, and I'll present that to you at the next June board meeting. Matt Godinez is here. Matt's part of our Ed Tech committee, and he can attest to the fact that it's hard in that committee to stay focused on like a long-term project with deep thinking, because these fires come up that you want to problem solve. We spent on, we really did a good job this year of, devoting our attention to a task and having deep thought and conversation. So I'm proud of that, and I'm also thankful that we just didn't have a lot of fires to put out this year. As we wind down the school year, I just want to share my appreciation for the district, for this community. I am very proud of our work, the quality of the education we're providing our students, the working conditions and benefits to our staff, the effectiveness of our leadership team. We're doing impressive work in this district, and I think all the more impressive for a district of our size. And I think this has every reason to do with the individuals we have in our district, from our custodians to our superintendent. We just have amazing staff that make these things happen for our kids. So I want to say thank you for a great school year. I'm very optimistic as we end this year. We get tired at the end of the year, but I think we still carry definitely a sense of optimism about next year, and really looking forward to improving on the good work we're doing and making things even better.
Thank you. 9.6, Superintendent.
Thank you. So I wanted to, some of this stuff has already been said, but it's on my list, so I'm going to say it again. Tomorrow is our 4th through 6th grade spring concert at 6:30 p.m. here in the Big Gym. Wednesday is our end of year celebration from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Calistoga Inn. Hopefully you'll be able to make it at least for a little bit. Thursday at 6 p.m. is our transitional kindergarten through 3rd grade spring concert, also here in the Big Gym. As we said, Thursday we are sending our event team off to Boston. I will be in Boston next week from Monday through Thursday. They're there the whole week getting ready for Eureka Fest, as well as doing some sightseeing and learning about our country and Boston. So it's, as we said, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But I will be flying out on Monday to see them present on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I'll be back Thursday in time for our 8th grade promotion, which is Thursday evening. We are having a campus beautification project this Saturday from 8 to 1 p.m. And then I had mentioned to you that we had been able to create an intensive summer Spanish course at Napa Valley Community College. So that starts Monday, June 17th. I'm still trying to finalize the number of staff members that are signed up for it because due to confidentiality, they can't just tell me the names of the people. So it's kind of going back and forth, but we're working on that. And then this summer is our second annual Calistoga Joint Unified School District Summer Softball Team. So the season actually starts on Tuesday, June, what's next Monday? So Tuesday, June 11th, but we are still in school, so there are 5 teams this year, so that is our bye week. So our first game will be Tuesday, June 18th, and hopefully you can come in and cheer the team on. That's all I have today.
Where are the games?
At Low V Field.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, on to the consent agenda. Actions proposed by the consent agenda are deemed routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless any member of the board, the audience, or staff request a specific item to be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. Can I have a motion? Thank you. Second? Rudy, thank you. This is a roll call vote. President Rothenberg Allen, aye. Clerk Reed,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez Jones, Trustee Rios, Trustee Gonzalez. Action items. Protocol for action item includes a staff presentation, questions from the board, public input, deliberation by the board, and voting by the board. During the public input, there will be a 3-minute time limit per person. Revised hourly salary schedule, 11.2.
Okay, so this is our salary schedule that has kind of odd things on there, right? Things that are not CSEA or CAP related, but need to be called out of the salary schedule so that we can pay out to folks that earned it. And we're making a couple adjustments. So we've added a test proctor rate. Primarily, this has to do with our LPAC test, and often this test is given outside the school day. Sometimes inside the school day by like a substitute or someone, but typically outside the school day. And one thing we've been seeing is that we've been using our current salary schedule rates to pay it. So there's the potential that a certificated and classified person are getting a different rate for the same work. So we've talked about this really needs to be a consistent rate so folks are getting paid the same amount. And it doesn't require a credential. It's truly not a certificated role. It needs to be called out separately on the salary schedule. And so we've got a rate there that is fair and will give us one consistent rate. And I think will make the work a lot more fair in how it's implemented. Also, we've taken a few things off the salary schedule that just are no longer applicable. Keep it as up to date as possible. NCOE is no longer going to be doing their community of practice for social emotional learning as a paid stipend. They'll still do some events through the county around this topic, but it won't be a stipend, so we've removed that. And then also the summer school program development stipend. We had that on there, really it was a couple years ago that we made some significant changes to our summer program, and we have a stipend for that work. That PERT has been updated, so that doesn't need to be on the salary schedule. So these are the changes with the new item, as well as removing some items to keep it up to date and as brief as it can.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
To approve the revised salary schedule.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. 11.3 Memorandum of Understanding with California School Employee Association.
So this, make sure I got the right one that I'm speaking to. Yeah, so this item, it's in relation to the previous item, where it says that we will negotiate test proctoring with CSEA. We shared with them that we were going to be bringing this updated rate forward, so that's fine. We would like to make sure that afterwards we sit down, have a discussion, make sure if there are impacts on working conditions of CSEA employees, that we have a conversation about that. So this is our agreement to do that, and our assurance really to CSEA that we're committed to having that conversation.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Rudy. Second? Thank you, Matt. All in favor? Aye. 11.4, memorandum of understanding with California School Employees Association regarding district driver work here.
So we have one of our district drivers who drives students to another school district, essentially, and their spring break and our spring break are different. So we have this date, April 7th, which is called out as a holiday or non-work day for all classified employees. We need her to drive that student to that school. And so this is an agreement that will do that, and that employee with their supervisor will arrange for a different day to not work. And it allows us to get the student where they need to go.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Laura.
Second.
Thank you, Adair. All in favor? Aye. 11.5, agreement with Up Valley Family Center.
As we're all aware, we have a great partnership with Up Valley Family Center, and these are the contracts for 24-25. Up Valley is providing many services to our students and families through not only our community schools partnership program grants, but also through providing counseling services, family engagement services, restorative justice services, as well as providing a youth specialist and youth mentoring and volunteer tutoring. The 24-25 contract for our community schools partnership grant will be a total of $309,365. This is the grant that we have with the state, and this contract with Up Valley is entirely paid for through that grant. The other contract we have with Up Valley before you tonight is our general fund services contract. That contract will be $251,605, which is a little over a $6,700 increase, and this is due to increased cost in counseling services through Mentis. Staff recommends approval for both contracts, and we look forward to continued support and collaborative work with Up Valley Family Centers.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Laura. Second? Thank you, Matt. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Dara. 11.6, Resolution 23-2410, governing board member elections.
Thank you. So this resolution is related to governing board member elections. Every 2 years, either 2 or 3 of our board member seats come up for election. And this year, we have 3 seats: Board Member Reed, Board Member Gonzalez, and Board Member Rothberg-Allen. Seats are up for 4-year terms, and so this resolution will call an election, allowing us to put the election on the ballot. So we're asking the board to approve the resolution.
Can I have a motion? Very excited to have the election. All in favor? Aye. Resolution 11.7, Resolution 23-24, commit funds in the 24-25 budget year.
Okay, this is what I was talking about when I was doing my presentation. This resolution is coming before the board tonight because we're going to be spending down all of our professional development funds we received from the state back in 21-22. We received a total of $261,728 in funds to give both our classified paras and certificated teaching staff professional development opportunities. These funds will mostly be spent down by the end of 23-24, and in addition to these funds received by the state, we also spend general fund dollars on other support staff to attend conferences and trainings. This year alone, we have spent $201,000 from other resources on professional development as well. We currently spend these dollars on things like paying for contracts for trainings for PD for our staff, sending staff to trainings and conferences in their area of expertise, subs for when teachers are getting trained during a school day. We also spend this money on per diem or extra hourly pay if staff are not in contract and the district is requesting them to attend conferences or trainings. So you can see how quickly these expenses add up with all the different costs associated. I'm proposing that the board tonight with this resolution commit $200,000 to professional development for the district. What this does is restrict these funds to this use only.
I have established a resource within our general fund for the 24-25 school year that will allow us to transfer the funds to that resource and restrict those expenditures strictly for professional development use. Based on the past few years and the number of opportunities we are giving our staff to become more skilled at what we do is truly portraying our investment to our employees, and I'd like to make sure that we continue this endeavor. Any questions?
I agree, I think that's really important, so can we have a motion? Thanks, Judy. Thanks, Laurel. All in favor? Aye.
I appreciate it. It actually keeps record keeping easier as well.
11.8, Resolution 23-2412, authorizing end-of-the-year transfers.
This is an annual resolution that comes to the board every June. It gives me, as the Director of Business Services, the permission from the board to transfer cash between funds. And so as an example, I talked earlier about we make contributions to our cafeteria fund and our capital outlay fund. This resolution is just allowing me to make those transfers rather than having to bring them to you individually. And we do transfer funds back and forth throughout the whole entire fiscal year if the cafeteria is short on cash, or if we're making a transfer, payroll transfers between funds or whatever that may be. So this resolution just allows us to do that continually rather than having to come to the board with every transaction.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? All in favor? Aye. 11.9, Resolution 23-2413, naming district representatives and authorizing Maureen.
This is another resolution that names both the superintendent and the director of business services to sign documents with the Department of General Services, of which the Office of Public School Construction is under. This will allow us to sign any applications and or documents required by Department of General Services for participation in state allocated programs like facilities applications, such as the TK application we did in 23-24. We usually do this on an annual basis, but we did not do it last year. I think the last year we did it was when Dr. Goodman started with us, so we want to continue to get back on an annual cycle, and so the resolution is before you tonight to continue that. Her and I both are able to sign those kinds of documents.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Second? Laurel makes the motion. Oh, who did it? Oh, Rudy. Okay. Rudy, can I have a second? Thanks. All in favor? Aye. 11.10, agreement with A3Geo Inc.
This is a geotechnical firm that we've asked to test the soils in the location where we're possibly going to build a kindergarten for TK classrooms. This same company did all the geotechnical work for our riverbank restoration back in 2017, so they're familiar with the site and soils, and we figured they'd be the best ones for the job.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, we're on closing items. Board member report. Matt, you're on.
Student art show last Friday at the Art Center was wonderful. And I think it's so great that the Art Center allows us to present there. It's a really great opportunity for that. It's great for the community to see all the amazing things that come out of the digital project.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I do not have a report, but I have a question about the graduations and promotion. I know that we talked, the board talked about it in the last time when I was here, so I wanted to know how it's
I think we assigned you something. You're working all the graduations.
I will let you know where.
All I know is I'm doing the 8th grade. Laurel's, I think, doing everyone. Rudy. And then Matt, you're doing. Yeah. Oh, okay. With your favorite board member.
one question I had well, I don't really know if this would want to. Well, I'll just say no. I wanted to get an update on the cell phone policy, and now that we're a full school year into how the new policy went, I wanted to see if we could get an update on if it's been seen through and how the students are still responding to it and what the follow-up has been. And then another question I had was, I know Madam President had brought it up earlier in the school year, the amount of homework that our students have. I know when I was participating in the Transcend focus groups, the common thread through all of the kids was the hours of homework they have every day. So if we could get maybe a report on the average number of hours per evening students spend on homework, how that compares to other districts, just because it seems to be starting at a young age, going through, I mean, the amount of homework from the high school students that we heard was a large amount. So if we could just get a brief report on how we're comparing to other districts and what it's looking like for our kids, because we don't want them to lose sleep. You know, that's what they were saying. So just wanted to hear if we could get just a report on that. And then I also wanted to thank Ms. Bone and Ms. Lassen, because this is their last official capacity meeting, I think.
I think so.
I think so. And I know we're going to celebrate you on Wednesday, but as your former student for both of you, I just wanted to say thank you very much.
It's been my pleasure.
And we're looking forward to celebrating you on Wednesday.
On that note, do we have already representatives from CAC for the next year already?
We do, we have our,
Okay.
our presidente,
Oh, wonderful.
and we have vice president.
I guess we could say, so, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we could say, all of our officers is our president, Jessica Musser is our vice president, Aida Cepeda is our secretary, and Marcy Solomon is our treasurer. So we're helping to go through some changes too.
Sorry, thank you.
All right, any other board comments?
That was what we went on.
All right. Next board meeting is June 17th. Tentative future agenda items are the LCAP and budget adoption. We have no need to reconvene to closed session. 12.6, adjourn the meeting. Can I have a motion? All in favor? Aye.